My name is Walker Reid, and this is Franklin Boulevard Media. As a child growing up in the Howland community, Howland was divided by 321. A lot of people don't know it, but it was a two-lane road. Back in the day, we had Howland East and Howland West. I say my mom and dad raised 9 kids at 716 North Board Street, a 4-room house. And every time I ride by that house, I look and I just shake my head. And generally, when I tell people about this 4-room house, several people have tried to correct me and say, well, you mean 4 bedrooms, right? I said, no, we only had 4 rooms. I say, I remember the days we couldn't wait till someone was drafted or married or kidnapped to make more room in this house. I say, and I remember us not having a lot of things. Having brothers, I remember wearing hand-me-downs till I was in junior high school. We didn't have a lot of material things, but what our mom and dad instilled in us was love and respect. They taught us to respect one another, respect others, and to treat people like we wanted to be treated. Another good thing that came from 716 North Board Street, my dad always had a band. He always had a band, and he offered opportunities for teenagers in the neighborhood to come off the streets and learn a trade and get a job to put a little money in their pocket. And fortunately, that's how I met your pops. I say your pops played organ, and met guys like John Jeter and Quincy Hewitt, and these guys, Perry Mason. I mean, these guys would go out on the road and perform and come in. I remember Mom fixing breakfast for them, and they were all the way around the house peddling. Even when they wasn't rehearsing, they was around the house because my daddy was probably the smartest man I've ever met, the most wise man I've ever met. He wasn't the most educated man, but he always had some good information for you. He was from Dallas Stanley area, and he always reached out to these guys and tried to make them something. And to this day, when I see your pops, he mentioned to me the influence that my parents had in his life, and I see Perry Mason, and he talks about it, and I see Quincy Hewitt, and these guys are still around and they're very productive, at what they're doing. So we grew up in that type of atmosphere, and I remember we were one of the few families in the neighborhood that had a mother and a father living in the same home. So my dad was a dad to so many other people in the neighborhood. And I wondered where I received my sense of giving back. And I grew up with it. My dad, I saw the perfect example. And growing up in Howland was probably the only place I ever wanted to be. But growing up, I saw some of the shortcomings in Howland, and it really affected me when I became a firefighter with the Gastonia Fire Department. At the age of 19, I worked at Station 1, which ran off of 2nd Avenue. My first field trip to the fire station on where the courthouse is now, where Station 2 was, I saw those firefighters sliding down that pole. And I was a field trip I was attending Howland Elementary on York Street at the time. I said then I wanted to be a firefighter. And I pursued it after, being an athlete in school, middle school, and high school. I had a kid early in life, and I had to man up and do what was right. And I chose a career versus a job. I was fortunate enough to attend kindergarten at Irwin Center. They had a shed down near the little pool, and they ran kindergarten out of it. My sister Shirley was our teacher. I remember going to kindergarten with E.B. Kaufman, and I attended 1st through 3rd grade at Howland Elementary on York Street, where the old Elks Lodge was downstairs. And then they came in and changed the attendance line, so I had to go to Wilson School, 4th through 6th grade, which was located on North Morris Street, where the Gaston Community Action Building is now. Then I was sent to Howland Junior High School in the 7th grade. And I had to, I remember my brother-in-law, Ed Sadler, was my science teacher at Howland. And I remember Mr. Burge being my teacher at Howland. And that was 7th grade. Then they changed the lines again. And I had to go to Ashley Junior High School, which is located on Chester and or York. And went there for 8th and 9th grade, and then ended up going to the great Hunter Huss High School. And to be honest with you, that was 3 probably of the best years of my life. Out of 9 kids, I was the only one in my family that went to Hunter Huss High School. All the rest of them went to Howland High School. They went to Ashley High School or Ashbrook. I was the only one that went to Hunter Huss. No, I'm number 8 out of 9. Dwayne is the baby, and he ended up going to Ashbrook. So I had, like I say, 3 great years at Hunter Huss High School. Accepted well, did well. Got very active in high school. I remember being a sports editor at the school newspaper. I was in concert choir, played football. We had a black student union then called the Examber Club. I was leader of that. We did some great things in the community and things of that nature. At age 19, I graduated from Hunter Huss, and I remember working at Sears in high school. Then coming out of Hunter Huss, just working little jobs, and I had made up my mind. I wanted a career versus a job. So I applied at 2 places, the State Highway Patrol and the Gastonia Fire Department. And I say the first one called, I would go. And the Gastonia Fire Department fortunately called, and I was hired there. I was a firefighter there for 3 years, fire inspector there for 6 years, and had a great opportunity to go to Mecklenburg County as assistant fire marshal for 23 years. And fortunately, I was able to retire in December of 2009 with 32 years of service in the fire service. So age 52, retired at 32 years of service. That was truly a blessing. And that was one of the benefactors of choosing a career over a job. But during that time, I got to see a lot of things as a firefighter. I remember the first call we had in Gardner Park. I literally thought I was in a different city. Now, keep in mind, I grew up in Howland West. That's where everything was, Irwin Center. We went to Irwin Park and we came home. Everything was functioning in that area. When I started seeing other areas of the city, Heatherlock and Gardner Park, I said, wow. And I noticed that these particular sides of town had amenities that we didn't have on the north side of town. So it struck my interest, and I started asking questions. Why don't we have this? Why don't we have that? And I've never been the type to complain without trying to do something about making a difference. So as time went on, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. The Lord laid a conviction on my heart to run for city council. And I never will forget that during this time, Irwin Pool was closed. The city only has two pools, Lineberger and Irwin. Irwin Pool was closed, and they were considering filling it in and never opening it again. Howland Junior High had closed. They were considering at first moving their admin offices there. Somehow that plan got pulled, and they were going to tear down that school. At the time, it was a big uproar about saving the Elks Lodge as a historic deal, but it had lost all its historic significance. Really, the last high school that I think it was in 1963 that graduated from there, they graduated from the one on Morris Street. So by saving that school, I felt like we were doing something big. So part of my campaign was, I remember Gaston County Schools had delegated some money to buy some property to build a technology high school, and somewhere in Gaston County. And my campaign committee was so excited because we had a victory. And I'll go into more details on that. But our next goal was to save Howland School. And we went to, I know, at least 3 school board meetings. I was the spokesperson for the group, not as Councilman Reid, but as John Q. Citizen. If you're going to invest money in a building, you already own surplus property. Why would you invest money in another building when you have property that you can go in and enhance, make improvements, save some money, and serve the same purpose? At the time, if you open up a county map, now this wasn't a technology high school for the Howland community, it was for students in Gaston County. This school offered something that no other high school offered. So they made it clear, Mr. Reid, this is not a school for the Howland community. Well, I worked in those schools in Charlotte Meck, so I knew what the purpose was. I said, if you open up a map and put your finger in the middle of that map, you will be very close to the proximity of this property. I say, so therefore, kids coming from Bessemer City, Mount Holly, Belmont, Stanley, it's a center factor here. It's right here at 321 and I-85. Right, it's on the cross. It was on the cross. I say, and then it's within a mile of Gaston College. And then we invested a ton of money in the Gaston Technology Business Park. I say, so not only can they further their education at Gaston College, once they graduate from Gaston, they can go out here and get a job in a technical field. So it took 3 going to the school board 3 times, and there was one woman on the school board that had enough about her to really explain why she didn't think it was a good idea. And she was afraid that if they invested that money in that school, that the parents would not let their kids attend that school simply because of the location of the school. And I told her, I said, ma'am, if you all build it, they will come. And they're beating the doors down, have been beating the doors down ever since it's been there. But let's just share with you what the Howland community did not have. During that time, there were no medical facilities in the Howland community. No doctor's offices, no dentist offices, no retail. That community survived off of 5 convenience stores along the 321 corridor. And somebody became a millionaire just from serving that community. We had no senior living facilities. I mean, really the Howland community was on life support. No air conditioning in the rec centers. I mean, it was bad. So my goal was to come in as a city councilman and fight for the things that we did not have in amenities that so many other communities took for granted and had. So it took me 16 consecutive years from 1995 to 2011 to accomplish those goals. During that time, people said, why don't you run for mayor? Why don't you do that? My goal and my calling wasn't to be the mayor at that time. My calling was to address the issues in the community. But what made me so interested in the community, the Howland community have always been enriched with good history. I'm one of the original members of the Howland Festival Foundation. It was 4 of us: Winston Bagley, my brother Dwayne, Elvin Sattler, Dr. Elvin Sattler, and myself. We stand around one night in the parking lot at Urban Center, and we was talking about the days when, well, why aren't this happening? Why aren't that happening? They say, well, the people that were doing those things, they're sick, they're dying off. They're not around to do those things anymore. It's our time. And I remember we stepped up in 1989 and hosted the first Howland Festival. And I never will forget how the turnout. I mean, we invited James Wood and Sleepy Floyd back to town, and we had a parade, and the festival in the park, and it was awesome. So 89, 90, 91, I served on that committee for the Howland Festival. So I just didn't run for office. I was adamantly involved in my community. And I think that helped catapult my name. It helped catapult my efforts to help me win the election when I first ran. So as I said, I served for 16 consecutive years as a councilman. I took a 6-year sabbatical, got my band back together from back in the day. in high school. I was fortunate to be able to be a part of Black Image Band, and being in high school and being in a band, that's a whole different story, man. But we came back together, and it sort of distressed me, and in 2017, the calling was laid upon me again. When I stepped out of office, we had been an All-American city. We had won a livability award, and then we ended up being the second or third worst city in the country to live in. And I said, how does that happen? And it's either the leadership or the lack thereof. So I've never been one to stand on the sideline and complain like so many others do. I've always been one to roll up my sleeves and say, put me in the game, coach. And so I ran for mayor in 2017 for a 2-year term, and I fortunately was reelected in 2019. Had a very good campaign committee in both campaigns, and they worked extremely hard for me, and I had a great turnout, and those that believed in me and came out and voted for me. So I see Gastonia on the rise, and working as a fire marshal in Mecklenburg County, what really got me was that's when the malls had sucked the life out of downtowns. My office was downtown on North Tryon Street in an old Sears building. And that's when Belk and Ivy's pulled out of downtown Charlotte and went to the mall. And downtown Charlotte was literally a ghost town. When I tell people that, they look at me crazy. I say, I can get in my car in the 700 block of North Tryon Street, and if I caught every light, I could be at Moorhead in 5 minutes. I mean, that's how dead downtown Charlotte was. Now you may sit at one red light for 5 minutes. And what happened was they brought apartments downtown, condos. They established that base. Then the restaurants came. Then the nightlife came, and the rest was history. But it really bothered me, and I was a county fire marshal, so I worked outside the corporate city limits of Charlotte. So I worked in Davidson, Huntsville, Cornelius, Mint Hill, Matthews, Pineville. When I seen a small town like Pineville appear to be growing faster than Gastonia, it really bothered me, and Mint Hill and Matthews. But now I see Gastonia on the verge of being what it could be, and it could be one of the biggest things between Charlotte and Atlanta if we keep pushing in the direction we're going in now. I'm very proud of the council that I served with in 2017, 2019. We're focused on making Gastonia be the best it can be, and we have projects on the table to prove that. I remember the days we had to beg people to even consider doing business in the city of Gastonia. Now we can pick and choose what we would like to have in the city of Gastonia, and that's great. So it's an uphill journey. I love being in the position of mayor. I love feeling that I'm being a productive mayor, a visible mayor, an approachable mayor. And I feel like the Lord is just going to continue to bless us the way we need to be blessed in order to function. And let's make our area, our city, the best it can possibly be. First of all, I encourage people to do their homework. Okay, several times I get approached, my colleagues get approached about issues that doesn't even have anything to do with us, i.e. the statue at the courthouse. The statue is located on Gaston County property. It's located at the Gaston County Courthouse. Therefore, it has nothing to do with the city of Gastonia. Yes, we have opinions just like you have an opinion, but we don't have the authority to call the shot to make them move that statue. You barking it up the wrong tree. Go to the people that are the decision makers. But people don't want to face controversy. It's easy to point fingers. It's easy to go to somebody they feel comfortable being around just to say, I told so-and-so, but you didn't address the problem. So I think getting involved in citizens committees is the best way to get involved in city government. By getting involved in citizens academies, citizens committee, you learn the functions of the city. They're totally different than the county. You can go on the city's website, www.cityofgastonia.com, and have them listed there. They're generally appointed by the council and the mayor to serve on these committees. The Citizens Academy is probably the best overall thing you can get involved in because you get a touch of every department in the city of Gastonia, what they do on a day-to-day basis. And therefore, when you graduate from that academy, a lot of your questions will be answered. You are educated to the point you can share information with other people. But I found out some people rather complain than to know the truth. You'll be surprised that people come to me with, my child was suspended from school for fighting. They set up a meeting, I want you to go with me. I have nothing to do with Gaston County Schools, okay? That's Gaston County, that's why it's Gaston County Schools. If somebody's in the court systems, getting ready to get out of jail on parole or whatever, that's the Gaston County Courthouse. If something happened in county administration, you work for the DSS or whatever, DSS as the mayor, I have no jurisdiction over the Department of Social Services. It's a Gaston County facility. So if you call me and you share your concerns with me, I can probably point you in the direction of somebody you can talk to. But if you're looking for me to solve your problem, I can't do it. The city of Gastonia takes care of city fire, police, roads, parks, housing, water, sewer. That's what we do. That's what we do. So, and once people understand the difference between the different governments, whether it be city government, county government, school administration government, I think they will understand the process better.
Gastonia, North Carolina.
The video has more than 5 million views.
It sounded like a Disney movie, right? Like a little town out of a Disney movie.
TikToker Olivia Garcia and her family were in the Carolinas to check out the recent snow. When she saw this video, she convinced her family to make a stop.
And I was like, oh wait, can we make a pit stop in this place called Gastonia? Because I just saw this TikTok and it looks so pretty. And then all of a sudden we get there and it's just run down gas stations. Like, we had to go to the bathroom. There was no bathroom that worked in any of the gas stations.
This wasn't what she expected.
I made us drive an hour out of the way, BC, of this TikTok.
Chronicling her reaction, Garcia's video in actual Gastonia has thousands of views.
It's a big difference between Switzerland, being in Switzerland and Gastonia. So when I saw the video, I sat back in my seat. I said, where is this at? Because it was going through so fast, and then I noticed the street name. I say, out of all the places they passed that they could have used the restroom, why did they stop here where it was closed, business was closed, didn't have access to a bathroom, Hardest was right up the street. I mean, you could have stopped at Hardest, used the restroom when I figured out where it was. And you can find these things in every part of the city you go in. I mean, if you want bad, you can find bad in every city, even in the nation's capital. You go to Charlotte to see all these high-rise buildings. So you can find these places, but to capitalize on that, it really ticked me off.
Gaining the attention of the mayor of Gastonia. He says, apparently we are the talk of the town. And while Gastonia is certainly not Switzerland, we're glad people are learning more about our great city. We're glad to see so many people having fun with Zachary Cassie's post, and hopefully Miss Garcia will come back to see all the great things our city has to offer. In fact, if they want to contact me, I love to give them a personal tour and show them what makes our city tick.
I reached out to her, shared my concerns about, I really don't appreciate you degrading my city on national TV. What can we do to make this better? So she's assured me that her and her husband are going to come back. I have agreed to take them around and show them some of the best parts of the city of Gastonia, just waiting on a phone call. And hopefully we can clear this up some kind of way that she would have a better feeling about the city of Gastonia. All I can do is show the other side, and I think my response to it was pretty positive. So she agreed to it, so I'm just waiting on a phone call. As a councilman, you have to live in the ward that you live in. I've been the mayor for approximately 5 years. I could have packed up and moved anywhere in the city of Gastonia, but I chose to live in Ward 4. And the reason I chose to live in Ward 4 because I never want to forget where I came from. I remember the times there was no bank or lending institution. I I can keep going on the things that we didn't have that we have now. Moving the boys club from York Street to Marsh Street, we had a better facility for our kids to serve at. But the thing is that it's easy to sit on the sideline and talk about what others are not doing. But I want you to start questioning yourself. What are you doing to make things better? You can point the finger at me. You can talk about me, what I'm doing, what I'm not doing. You can't see what I'm doing. I think Stevie Wonder can see what I'm doing. But if you choose not to, that's on you. But one thing about it, it's well with my soul. It's well with my soul. And I want to just thank those that believe in me and those that continue to support me. And I want to thank my colleagues on the council that believe in my leadership and follow my leadership and share along the way to make this city the best city it can possibly be. I want to follow up with my brother. We were in the gas and poorhouse talking about growing up in the Highland community. And I was just pouring into him some of the highlights of just being on York Street, of the businesses that were there and where people gathered and before concerts at the Checkmate Lounge and the Three Deuces on the square and the Lighting a Cab and the cafe. Like the Highland community really had all the amenities. Had a drugstore. The square was the spot. York Street was the spot. The barbershop, the beauty salons, and the people again are going to blame the city of Gastonia for coming in and taking all those amenities away. And I was blamed because it happened. Those things started back in 1993. I think I told you all that I ran for office in 1995. They tore those things down and they built the Gaston County Courthouse, the Gaston County Jail, matter of fact, 2 jails. So if you want to blame Walker Reid, the mayor of the city of Gastonia, that's not affiliated with any county facilities, keep doing it. But I'm trying to educate you on the facts. And that's all you need is the facts, and that's all that I go on. But in the meantime, I hope I gave you something to think about. May God continue to bless you and bless the city of Gastonia. Thank you.